So, does the sales process have an impact on closing new logo sales? So, I think the simple answer is yes. So, why do we need sales process? Someone asked me, especially when a lot of MSPs don't have it written down. Now, I say don't have it written down means a lot of the smaller firms, the CEOs who was a sales leader, develop their own process. They know it in their head and they can go do it anytime. So it don't really require necessarily to have it written down. However, I always tell them the second you hire a sales professional, you need it documented. So I'm talking sales process / sales stages. So why do we need it? Why is it important? Well, first of all, it holds everybody accountable. Now we've created or had or developed or essentially use today a 35-step sales process. And we use that for most of all solutions. We have a 51-step version for managed services, but our 35-step process covers that as well. And it covers most other technology solutions that your sales professionals might close. And this 35 steps is related to SMB opportunities, not enterprise. So it also comes with a timestamp. So that means that we're talking 4 to 6 weeks, no longer than 8 weeks to close an opportunity for a 25, 50, 75 seat opportunity. So if you're doing bigger engagements, engaging CIOs, what I'm talking about right now with respect to sales process has some relevancy, but not a lot. And it's a very different engagement, and we do those as well. Now, we've broken up our sales process into 3 phases. So phase 1 is about educating the buyer. That's steps sort of 1 through 22, which is really feeds into all the things we send a person with an attempt to set a meeting. So testimonials, case studies, educating about the solution itself. It's really the things that takes a little bit of time to educate, drive interest, create curiosity to the buyer as to why they should take a meeting with you. Now that also helps us build what we call and I talked about this in some other trainings, our leads pipeline stages, which is the Fat Duck Sandbox Mousetrap piece that we've talked about. So in that the very first step is the marketing. So what is that? So that's email campaigns, LinkedIn invites and/or campaigns, trade shows, webinars. It doesn't matter where the lead comes from. The first step is qualify that lead and put it in one of those 3 buckets so you can follow up on it appropriately and send them subsequent information around that. Now, once you've established a meeting, now it's time to perform all the rest of the stages. And there's an enormous amount of content that goes with that. So phase 1 is educate the buyer. So that's appointment steps 1 through 22. Then phase 2 is qualify the buyer. So at that point, we're in the meeting, we're engaging them, we're trying to find out if there's an opportunity here, what it looks like, and what is it going to take to close it. Now, once it closes, we go into what we call phase 3, which is onboarding the company or the organization. And if you don't do this part properly, you're going to have some issues. A lot of opportunities, get canceled, kicked out because we didn't onboard them effectively. And I'm not going to talk about onboarding process, but there's a process to that. And frankly, most of the MSPs we work with are doing that part fairly well. But that's really important for the sales professional to understand what that is. And our very last final step at 35 is sending the client a box of cookies. We've seen people do pizza parties to kick off the engagement, but something to acknowledge to the buyer and their organization that we appreciate their business. And I got to tell you, the sales process is so important for some of your new sales professionals because maybe they're really good at the actual sales piece of it, meaning they can conduct sales operation, first visit, warm up, do all those kinds of things, get the client to like them. But all the other pieces that are involved, they're not that good at. So the process keeps everybody aligned. And what's great about that, I had a client tell me recently, he was working in the government sector, which I was super surprised that the government sector would even respond to this approach. But he was doing about $10 million with the government folks. And then he started, I think he ended up with 47 steps versus 51, which is fine. And he said after using this approach, he went from $10 million to well over $30 million over a 2-year period because they appreciated all the touching and all the communication that indicated to those folks how important it was for him or to them that he wanted their business. And even in our personal example, when we were an IT firm ourselves, I had many opportunities or many examples of clients calling us up and saying, or when we got on the ground, they said, wow, I appreciated all the touching to make sure the appointment was solid, but it was so professionally done. We invited a few other people to come to the meeting because we wanted to engage with you guys. And one of the things that I hear all the time, or the question I hear asked often is, how are we different? Well, this is one of the ways you're different than all the other MSPs you're competing with and other IT firms, is this process. And when you see it and when you put it in place, people can tell that you're different than everybody else. And this is so important. So when you get down to the point of, all right, it's time now to engage and transact business, all those steps you've done have created an enormous amount of credibility with the buyer and the rest of their team as to why they should want to engage with you. And that process itself also, believe it or not, is sort of a test run in the mind of the buyer as to what type of an organization you are. Meaning, how is your service delivery and professional service folks going to be when they come on site? That process that you followed that's been very straightforward and matter of fact has impressed them enough to go, well, man, if you guys are that on top of the process that you follow, your support folks, engineers, etc., ought to be phenomenal. And that's typically the case. So I hope this was helpful. Sales process is important. You've got to have it. You've got to have it written down, and you've got to have it documented so you can hold everybody in the process accountable and get more new logo business. Thank you very much. Again, Gary Beecham, SPC International. Thank you.